and welcome to National Focus. I'm Aliyah Martin. In the headlines, Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit calls for a comprehensive review of education systems in the region while attending a regional symposium on crime in Trinidad. New progress recorded on the geothermal development project. And FAO hosts 5th Joint Caribbean Regional Fisheries Mechanism meeting in Dominica. The details of the headline stories and more when we return.
Visit DominicaFestivals.com for tickets and event information. Circle the date, April 30. It's jazz and Creole in the Nature Island, Dominica.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit is in Port of Spain, Trinidad, where he's heading Dominica's delegation to a regional symposium on violence as a public health issue, the Crime Challenge. The two-day symposium runs from April 17 to 18, 2023. The symposium is hosted by Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley. Crime and violence experts and public health officials will present topics including crime and violence, a public health approach, violence as a public health issue, the Bahamas experience, and mental health. The symposium will also explore the economic perspective on crime and violence, economic inequalities as the driver of crime, and violence and the economic cost of crime and violence. Perspectives on education and youth and juvenile justice reform will also be considered. Minister for National Security and Legal Affairs Honorable Raven Blackmore and Attorney General Honorable Levi Peter are accompanying the Prime Minister to the meeting. Minister for Health, Wellness and Social Services Honorable Kasani Laville is acting Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Skerrit has called for a comprehensive review of the education system in the region. Prime Minister Skerrit was speaking at a roundtable discussion on violence as a public health issue, the Crime Challenge.
Our school systems now are focused solely on preparing students for examinations.
Passing exams.
External examinations, national examinations. And there is absolutely no time in the 5 hours or so that the students spend in the school setting for anything to do with the welfare and well-being of the children. Yeah. We don't take time to understand where they come from, where they live, the economic circumstance, and to appreciate their behaviors in the classroom. And I think if coming out of this very timely engagement, I want to commend the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago for this, we could highlight the need for an urgent review of our education system. I believe that that would help tremendously in helping to dry up the recruitment ground for these violent behaviors.
Prime Minister Skerrit says there needs to be focus on antisocial behaviors which leads to violent crimes. He called on civil society to play their part in the upbringing of our children.
And of course, we come to the point of the various groups in society abdicating their responsibilities. The whole concept of it takes a village to raise a child. Now it is solely to the Ministry of Education to educate our children. Where are our parents and guardians? Where is the clergy in its missionary work, its evangelical work? Where is the business community? The business community, we are more concerned about the dollar profits. And we only talk about crime when it affects our businesses, not because our children are dying, necessarily. And I think that we need to get the different groups in the society to spend more time in terms of what is my contribution to addressing the social challenges confronting our country.
Dominica takes another major step towards energy independence. Julian Morris reports.
The island has reached another milestone with the completion of a second geothermal production well in Loda. On Monday, 17th April, the Minister for Energy, Dr. Honorable Vince Henderson, representatives of the Dominica Geothermal Development Company and foreign partners took members of the local media on a tour of the newest production well and reinjection well. With 2 production wells and 1 reinjection well completed, the next step is to build the power plant and subsequently the distribution network. Minister for Energy, Dr. the Honourable Vince Henderson, thanked the UK government for its support on this project.
The UK has been a steadfast partner with us. Even during the days when the project seemed like it had many challenges, the UK still stood with us. We were worried at some point that we would have lost the £8.5 million because we had some challenges after Hurricane Maria. When we went to market, we went to tender, we had some challenges because after the devastation of Hurricane Maria, the private companies got spooked. They were scared to do this project in the Roseau Valley because they thought there were too many risks associated. And the project was way over budget and we could not proceed. But the UK stood with us. And so the government of the United Kingdom is not only talking the talk about fighting the impact of climate change or global warming in that case, keeping temperatures at 1.5 degrees Celsius or below, but they are walking the walk.
Dr. Henderson says the completion of Phase 1 is a manifestation of the contribution of the United Kingdom.
We hope to see more of the UK in the future in geothermal, because it would be a shame for us to have this tremendous resource and not be able to fully utilize it. We are seeing here, and you heard the expert from GRG, it's not me saying that, at 25% we are already seeing 4 megawatts potential of power. This means that if we were to go even extrapolating and taking minusing, we have another 10 megawatts at least right here in this well. And we have already 10 megawatts lower down at the first production well site. But we are only going to build a 10 megawatt plant in the first instance. So that Dominica needs to, as a national project, decide to move forward with expanding geothermal in the immediate future.
The UK's climate attaché for the Caribbean welcomes the accomplishment and spoke of its potential impact on Dominica's economy.
I'm here today with Pat and Sarah, also from the UK, and we're delighted to be here to celebrate the successful completion of Phase 1 of the geothermal project here in Dominica. What's fantastic about a project like this is its ability to make vital progress on so many fronts at once, I think. On energy security, on economic security, and on climate security. We live in a world where energy security is increasingly important. A state's ability to generate its own electricity from end to end, independent from global fluctuations in fossil fuel prices, is a huge asset.
He says geothermal energy is the energy of the future, creating a platform to transform Dominica's economy.
Cheap, abundant and reliable energy is a foundation stone of a thriving economy, and it is critically important for the development of vulnerable island states like Dominica. This project is not only an important step on the way towards Dominica becoming energy independent, but even towards becoming a net exporter of energy in the not-so-distant future, and also towards Dominica's laudable aim of becoming the world's first climate-resilient country.
Minister for the Environment, Honourable Kozio Frederick, is pleased that this project is in line with Dominica's climate resilience goals.
And so this is a historic event, of course, for a small island like Dominica, a small island developing state, one that has exclaimed many times that we are pushing toward becoming the first climate resilient country. And an important part of our development is energy and energy resources and management of that resource. And so this indigenous space, this country that was one owned by my ancestors, and I think they're very happy at this point to appreciate the need to keep nature intact, keep the environment intact, but also exploit it in a manner which positively affects our development.
Dr. Henderson says Dominica has no business making any major investment in solar energy, but must fully utilize the geothermal resource. Julian Morris for the Government Information Service.
Thanks, Julian, for that report. The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, is hosting the 5th meeting of the Joint Caribbean Regional Fisheries Mechanism, CRFM, in Dominica from Monday, April 17 to April 19. The goal of this meeting is to provide the relevant tools to better mainstream the sustainable management practices for the fish aggregating device, FAD, fisheries in the region, drawing on best practices, regional linkages, and strong stakeholder collaboration. Minister for Fisheries and the Blue Economy, Honourable Julian Defoe, says government has pledged its commitment to achieving sustainable fisheries management, which is required for a viable blue economy.
We're cognizant of the status of the world fisheries because we are not in a silo, and most of the fish that we harvest, it's migratory, of fish stocks of the offshore pelagic species that we depend on. Hence, Dominica pledged its commitment towards achieving sustainable fisheries management to ensure healthy fish stocks, and also essential, which is also essential for achieving a blue economy. The Fisheries Division is currently engaged in projects with, again, our fellow institution, FAO and WCAFC, which is aimed at building our capacity in fisheries statistics, a very important component. And reports indicate that there has been great progress with active engagement between FAO and their fishery statistics and our staff.
He added that government will do all it can to ensure that FAD is successful so that fisher folks can reap the benefits.
My ministry is committed to the voluntary guidelines for securing small-scale fisheries. Again, I cannot remove that from anything that I say. Our support to the SSF guideline, the small-scale artisanal fisheries, which is aimed at food security and poverty reduction, which was adopted by the Caribbean Common Fisheries Policy in 2018. So even us at the CRM level has indoctrinated this protocol in part of our master plan. Therefore, we will do all that is possible to ensure that the MFAD fisheries in Dominica is sustainable, as an adequate sustainable fisheries production is necessary to meet the objectives of the SSF guidelines, and will notably ensure that fisher folks reveal the social and financial benefits, support livelihoods through proper fisheries management, and improve gender relations. And I will repeat again, and to improve the gender relations, promoting equality and equity for all fisher folks.
The meeting aims to identify regional needs and priorities, highlight areas for potential collaboration, review the interim mode FADS management plan and monitoring guide, the draft governance manual, and propose an updated work plan and eventual recommendations related to the future work of the group. A contingent of 130 athletes and officials will represent Dominica at the 5th edition of the Alba Games in Venezuela from April 21 to April 29, 2023. The team left the island on Monday, April 17, and will participate in various sporting disciplines to include athletics, basketball, women's football, indoor and beach volleyball, table tennis, boxing, chess, cycling, billiards, and dominoes. Alba Games 2023 will be held at 3 different venues, such as Caracas, La Guaira, and Miranda. The Games will feature 3,500 athletes and professional staff. This is the first time Dominica will be represented at the Alba Games.
This again is consistent with this government's objective to give our athletes as much exposure as practically possible, to give them the opportunity to develop their skills and become more competitive. And of course, these games will also be used as a yardstick to assess where we are as it relates to our preparations for upcoming tournaments. So this is a wonderful opportunity for our athletes, and I encourage them to make the best of it, perform well, and make themselves, their families, and Dominica by extension very proud.
Minister George says the Alba Games is necessary to continue the legacy of its founders. He says integration in that area of sports is significant in development as a region.
President Hugo Chavez and Fidel Castro, who both sought to prioritize integration in an effort to enhance socioeconomic development among countries in Central America and the Caribbean. And of course, we remain firm and committed to ALBA and the principles of integration, while we seek to strengthen our partnerships and further develop sports in our countries. We would like to express sincere gratitude to Venezuela for hosting this massive sporting event. These games are important in the context of promoting unity through sport. I also want to thank the Venezuelan ambassador to Dominica for ensuring that all the relevant information will be relayed between the Ministry of Sport in Venezuela and our ministry here in Dominica.
Dominica's participation in the Alba Games 2023 is an indication of government's investment in the various sporting disciplines and its athletes. You're watching National Focus. More when we return. welcome back. Dominica will continue to strengthen its relations with the Republic of Ecuador as a new ambassador has been welcomed. His Excellency Jose Maria Borja Lopez presented his credentials to President of Dominica, His Excellency Charles Savre, on Friday, April 14, 2023. Dominica and the Republic of Ecuador established diplomatic relations since 2009 and has since fostered a great friendship. President of Dominica, His Excellency Charles Savre, is confident that the relationship between these two countries will continue to flourish, as well as the cooperation with CARICOM member states, the Organization of American States OAS, and the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States CICLA.
Dominica looks forward to our continued cooperation and collaboration, to the sharing of ideas and the strengthening of our commitments to our regional and international organizations. Your Excellency, we in Dominica are similar in many ways to Ecuador. We have a similar climate and topography. We're tropical, mountainous, and volcanic, blessed with many rivers and heavy rainfall, which makes us lush and green. Ecuador, however, though one of the smallest states on the South American continent, is more than twice as large as Cuba and larger than Guyana.
Dominica and Ecuador signed a Memorandum of Understanding MOU on August 14, 2014 to encourage various forms on cooperation in the areas of economic development, trade, science and technology, culture, information and communication technologies, sports and tourism.
It is my expectation that during your tenure, these expressed interests will be transformed into active bilateral and regional cooperation, and that the Ecuadorian government will favorably consider entering into a technical cooperation agreement with the government of Dominica in areas of mutual interest. The potential for cooperation in sectors such as agricultural research, agroforestry, fishing, flour production, among others, are areas of great interest.
New Ambassador of Ecuador to Dominica, His Excellency Jose Maria Borja Lopez, says Dominica can count on his commitment to strengthening the partnership between the two countries.
The two countries have taken important steps to consolidate their friendship, but we have many tasks ahead for us in order to achieve the well-being for our people. Dominica is a beautiful country that attaches great importance to education, sports, and cultural developments. Visiting Dominica means getting closer to its landscapes, its tropical jungle, its beautiful beach and waterfalls, but above all, its wonderful and friendly people.
Dominica anticipates the growing presence of Ecuador in the Caribbean region. The island also looks to strengthen relations both bilaterally and multilaterally in dealing with the challenges such as climate change, which continues to confront small island developing states and coastal states. The East Coast Road Project remains one of the major investments currently being undertaken in Dominica. The Ministry of Public Works, Public Utilities and Digital Economy continues to engage residents on the East Coast on the development of the road project. A community consultation on Lot 2 was hosted in Salibia last week, where engineering consultant in the Ministry of Public Works, Mr. Kendall Johnson, provided a technical update on the advancement of the project. The project entails civil works to include slope stabilization, street lighting, installation of sidewalks, and the rehabilitation of roads and bridges on the East Coast. As of April 13, 14 of 15 retaining walls for this project have been completed. In efforts to make drainage more resilient, the project will also see the installation of 77 culverts.
The 5-feet culverts, that's complete. 55 of the 4-feet culverts, those are complete. We have 4 oversized culverts, those are complete. The U-drains are well on the way. And also, we have the bridges to do. That's Laivelaw and Belfield. The erection of the main structural members will start at the end of this month. All of the members are on island. They are on the port. So sometime by this week into early next week, those will be transported to site, and then you will see what the bridge is going to look like.
Lot 2 of the project, with a road span of over 20 kilometers, will run from Cassibrus through the Kalinago territory to Hatton Garden.
The excavation and widening works are in progress, substantially completed. Similarly, the stabilization works as well of the slopes. We have 42 retaining walls to do. 2 are complete. Culverts, there are 91 of the 5-feet culverts. 21 are complete. The 4-feet culverts, we have a total of 53. 14 have been placed just to now construct the inlet and outlet structures. And we also have quite a bit of drainage to do of a similar magnitude for the previous lot 1.
Lot 2 will also see the construction of 3 bridges, namely the Cassibrus, Richmond, and Pegwa Bridge.
You have seen that we have started works on the Cassibrus Bridge with the construction of the bypass. Richmond Bridge bypass is okay. And we have not started pavement works yet, but that will be done after we have done all of the drainage works. So in a nutshell, that's what the scope is, and also timelines. All of the major works on Lot 1, which is with respect to concrete, are done.
Over $136 million has been invested on the East Coast Road project to include the compensation of lands. Funding for this project has been made available through the Government of Dominica and World Bank under the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project, DVRP. Government continues to invest in improved road networks as the safety of citizens remain of paramount importance. The development of road infrastructure also takes the country one step closer to its goal of building the world's first climate-resilient nation. The effects of climate change may pose serious threats on the region as the dry season is projected to be drier than usual. According to the Center of Climate and Energy Solutions, where warmer temperatures enhance evaporation, which reduces surface water and dries out soil and vegetation. This makes periods with low precipitation drier than they would in a cooler condition. Dominica is currently in the dry season, also referred to as Kawem. This season has often resulted in a number of bushfires across the island.
So far, we have seen quite a number of bushfires, and to date, we are numbering in the region of about 50 bushfires so far, which is an increase over last year.
The Dominica Fire and Ambulance Service has appealed to the public to exercise extreme caution during this time, as majority of bushfires are a result of negligence.
People tend to burn or cut empty lots or agricultural areas. They see it as a good opportunity to clear the vegetation so as to do the agricultural practice, or probably just clear a vacant lot. And at the same time, they see it as a good way of probably burning the vegetation, the dead vegetation, so as to clear the land. And that is the major cause in the spread of bushfires.
St. Joseph and Canfield are some of the most widespread areas for bushfires. Citizens are advised to avoid setting fires in residential areas. A week-long tour by the St. Lucia Sports Academy came to a close with an award ceremony at the Benjamin's Park on Friday, April 14, 2023. Kuvia John reports.
The students participated in various sporting disciplines to include cricket, football, and track and field. Dominica took home the trophy for cricket, winning all the cricket games. Kensley Paul of the St. Lucia Sports Academy and Keishon Viville of the Dominica combined team tied for most wickets. Paul took a total of 5 wickets for an aggregate of 47 runs at an average of 9.4. Vivil took 5 for 36 throughout the tournament at an average of 7.2. Darren Toussey of the Dominica combined team was the tournament's leading run scorer with a total of 78 runs. He scored 40 not out and 38 not out in his 2 innings. He was also named Player of the Series. Meanwhile, St. Lucia took home the football spoils with Nathaniel Noel being named the most valuable player. The most outstanding female athlete in the track and field events went to Shamaria Charles of the St. Lucia Sports Academy, while the most outstanding male athlete went to Dominica's 2023 Carifta gold medalist Addison James. Acting Senior Sports Officer with responsibility for track and field, Mr. Godwin Dorset, stated that this tour gave the young students from both countries an opportunity to compete and showcase their talents.
We were very happy to have you here with us in Dominica. Being here in Dominica gave an opportunity to many of our sports boys and girls who have not really have an opportunity to compete against others in the region. And you come in here, you give them an opportunity to showcase themselves and to feel what it's like to compete against another country. And we are very pleased about this. Okay? We are the sports division. We are very appreciative of you choosing Dominica to come and be with us and to help in your development. I know you are making some great strides in St. Lucia, and Dominica is definitely going to be working with you. We will be looking forward to future events of that kind and hoping that we can have just the same wonderful time as I realize the children have had here today.
Principal of the St. Lucia Sports Academy, Mrs. Delia Alcindor Charles, described the week as a wonderful opportunity for her students, stating that she is pleased with the efforts of the sports division.
This week has been great, wonderful. Actually, it has superseded or exceeded my expectations. I'm really pleased with the effort that has been put into organizing the tour by the Department of Youth and Sports in Dominica under the leadership of Mr. Shilling Ford. Over the past week, we engaged in a few football games, cricket, and today culminating with the track and field meets. We also had a very impressive opening ceremony, and last night we had the cultural evening, which was really good.
She noted that they were able to meet the tour's objective, which was to give the students of the St. Lucia Sports Academy a chance to compete against their regional counterparts.
Well, the main objective of that tour for us was to showcase the students in our school and to get them to gauge their performance vis-a-vis their regional counterparts or students in their own age group. Our school is a secondary school which focuses on sports excellence. So we follow the normal CXC curriculum, and we have a special sports program that commences from about 6 in the morning thereabout with strength and conditioning. Then they go into the academics and then into the training. The school comprises of 3 main components: academics, sports, and a dormitory or residential aspect. So they actually live on the dorms.
Kuvia John for the Government Information Service.
Thanks, Kuvia, for that report. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS Dominica on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. You can also drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm. From all of us here on the GIS News Production team, I'm Aliyah Martin. Thanks for watching and stay safe.